Well, it's been a couple of days since I was messing with this outboard motor, and I ended up finding the nut that I had dropped down there and hooked up the linkage. Then I hooked up this linkage, and this is, I was almost positive that this is exactly how this was hooked up when I got the boat. And I think because of the length of these linkages, that made me think that that's exactly how it was. But I couldn't figure out why this thing is acting strangely when I run that Merc control, when I move the levers. So this is the Merc control control system, and I couldn't quite figure out exactly how this worked. And it was kind of weird that when I would move one of the levers a certain way, it would move both linkages. So finally, I just decided, when all else fails, Google it. So I went online, and sure enough, I found several people that were asking the question on how the heck do you work this thing, because they either bought a boat that had one and weren't used to it, or just didn't understand how it was supposed to work. So what I was able to find out was I had incorrectly thought that this was like boats I've had in the past that had two levers, where you had one lever for the shifting and another lever for the actual throttle. And in fact, the way this is supposed to work is that one big lever there is supposed to act as the gear shift lever and the throttle. So the way it's supposed to work is if you push it forward slightly, it's supposed to go into forward gear, and then as you continue to push it forward, it will actually advance the accelerator, the throttle. And then same thing with reverse. If you pull it back past neutral, it'll click into reverse, and so on. So that made me wonder what the heck that other black lever was for. That one that my son's got right there. That black lever right there, it turns out, is called a warm-up lever. And the purpose of that lever right there is basically to allow you to advance the throttle without putting it in gear for warm-up. So basically it's to warm the engine up when you start it. So you're supposed to raise that lever up part way to make it easier to start the engine. And then as the engine starts to even out, you're supposed to lower that lever slowly all the way back down until it idles. And then once it's idling with that lever all the way down and the choke's off, then you know you're ready to go. At least that's in theory how it's supposed to work. But what I noticed is this. This doesn't seem to be doing what it's supposed to do. This one right here is the linkage for the throttle. And that one down there is the linkage for the gear shift. So watch what happens. So I'm going to have Aiden move that lever, the warm-up lever, the one down below Aiden. That one there. That's in the off position, so to speak. And I'm going to have him move that one up slowly to fully vertical. Go ahead. But watch what's happening over here at the motor when he's doing that. Nothing. All right, Aiden, go ahead and push that. Keep pushing that forward, all the way forward. Now, when he finally pushes it way forward, you'll notice it's the gear shift that's actually moving. And the throttle never moves. So now I have him move the warm-up lever all the way back down to the fully stowed position. Okay? And now I'm going to have him just click the gear shift lever, the large lever, forward a little bit. Go ahead. And watch what happens over here when he does that. Go ahead, Aiden. Ah, the throttle's moving. Now, keep pushing it forward. This should be accelerating. Is it pushed all the way forward? Yeah, notice as he pushes, it continues to push it forward. What happens? It's moving the shift lever. So I think I've got these two linkages reversed. Now, either I just, did it wrong from memory. Okay, now I've swapped the two linkages. Let's see how it acts now. Not the big lever, the small lever from the full down position, move it up towards vertical. And there we go. As you move it up towards vertical, it just starts moving this throttle linkage up a little bit. Push it past vertical a little bit. There we go. That's the warm-up, and you'll notice that that's not touching the gear shift at all. Okay, put it all the way back down.
This way?
All the way down. Back, all the way, where you started. That would simulate that it's all warmed up now. So this is back to the idle position. Okay, now shift the gear lever forward a little bit. There we go. Now it went right into gear. And now as he continues to push it forward, we should see the, all right, so now it's in gear right there. And now, go ahead, keep pushing. And now it's advancing the throttle. Is it pushed all the way down? All right, pull it back to neutral. Just curious if it's opening the butterflies all the way. Yeah, do it again. Push it all the way down, forward. All the way forward. Yep, that seems to be going, the wide open throttle. Pull it back to neutral again. Yeah, that seems to be working. All right, now pull it back. There we go. That's reverse, and then, yeah, all right. Put it back to neutral. All right, now push it all the way forward again. All right, we're going to leave it there. That should be forward gear. So I'm getting ready to put the lower gear case unit on, and one of the things that's very important is to make sure you have this little tube right here, this little piece of plastic. Okay, so hopefully when you were taking it apart and this fell out, you noticed it, kept it, because this little plastic tube is very important to help you ensure that the copper pipe that sticks down from the power head right here, which is recessed up inside here, actually ends up going into where it's supposed to go into on the water pump housing. The water pump housing sticks up inside here. So the problem is, as you assemble this, you can't see whether or not that has gotten out of position. Those of you who saw my ugly boat series, you saw that on the motor on that boat that I was working on. When I took it apart, it was a whole horror show. That copper tube was damaged. Clearly somebody had just bashed the thing on, and it had some other issues. But the reason why that thing wasn't being cooled properly, obviously, had a lot to do with improper installation and also improper parts in that case. But this little tube right here basically allows you that as you're guiding this on, before this fully seats, you can get this little plastic tube to go over that pipe. That way when you push it up, this plastic tube will act as a guide and guide or channel that pipe down into its position on the water pump housing. So we're going to put this little tube right in here like this, just like that. Now I know, as I discussed earlier, by default, I know that the gear case is in forward gear, and now I know that I've got the linkage in forward gear. So now, hopefully, we can just get this. Oops, that's backwards. No, it's not. Putting it in the wrong place. Putting it in the wrong hole, so to speak. Never mind. Okay, so I can just stick my fingers in there far enough to feel that that tube is now where it should be. So the only thing left to do now is to see whether or not, well, my problem right here, I can almost guarantee, is going to be that the shaft, the spline shaft, is not going into the power head. So that would be a simple matter of just rotating the crank a little bit. Fortunately, I can't do that top on. Rotate, feel the teeth on the flywheel, and I can rotate it with my fingers just a little bit. And of course you want to make sure, if you're working alone, that you have your nuts handy, at least one of them. If I get one of these started, voila. Now I just got to tighten them all up. So depending on what model year, and I guess maybe possibly even horsepower, apparently not all the fasteners that I have on here exist, or maybe there's an extra bolt here or there that exists on some models and not this one. But essentially you've got 3 studs that stick up back here that get nuts. 1, 2, and there's one on the opposite side symmetrical to this one. And then there are 2 recessed holes here that studs stick down from this part through the gear case and get nuts right there. Okay, so that's 5 fasten points. And then we've got a bolt that goes down through here and actually goes through the, I believe it goes through the trim tab and gets tightened on. And the trim tab I think was off when I got this boat, but I do believe I did find it in the amongst the junk in there. But for right now I'm going to tighten up all of these. And then the only other bit of advice I could give is to make sure you get these nuts on before you get too far along, because if you tighten everything else up, there's actually not enough clearance between this part right here and the top of the stud to get the nut on. So you've got to get these on early on in your assembly. And these are fun because, well, a gear wrench won't fit on there. There's not enough clearance on the back side for a gear wrench. And obviously a socket's not going to work there, so basically you have no choice but to do it slow and easy. So I guess this isn't such a bad idea. Hey Mark,
What?
you know what happened to me the other day?
What?
Just a couple days ago. You know my Oliver tractor?
Yeah.
You remember when I was doing all the work on the Oliver tractor to get it running when I first got it?
Yeah.
I did all those videos. They were really popular. A lot of people watched them.
Yeah.
Those videos are getting kind of old now.
Yeah.
Well, somebody commented on one of my Oliver videos, and they didn't use their real name. They used I recognize the name. It's from a movie, so they didn't. They have a made-up name for their Facebook, not Facebook, for their YouTube account.
Yeah.
Anyways,
This motor looks huge now.
it actually looks the same size it looked when I got it. This gear case isn't any bigger than the one that was on
Yeah,
here.
no, but it was off most of the time.
Yeah.
If you put the motor down, will it like be touching the ground?
Yeah. Yep. So, obviously, we wouldn't want to trailer it with the motor all the way in the down position. You have to rig up some kind of system so that it can be up while you're trailering it, at least part way. Either that, or we'd have to maybe modify the trailer so that the boat sits higher on the trailer than this. But I'm not going to worry about that now. I've got a long way to go before I have to worry about that.
What else is broken on this?
Well, I don't know if the wiring in the boat is any good. Well, that's on. This part right here is called the skeg, S-K-E-G. Lots of times these get broken off by hitting rocks and things like that. This one's in really good shape, so I don't want to damage it if I can avoid it. So let's see. Yeah, you can see that. It's definitely going to hit the ground if I keep going. So there, I can just about touching the ground now. So I can't get this in the full vertical position without it hitting the ground. I do have the nose of the boat up kind of high right now because I wanted to keep the water draining out of it. But the reality is these wheels are so short on this boat it's got such a low wheelbase as it is on this trailer, I mean, that when I hook it up to a hitch on a vehicle, that's going to make that back go down even further. So, I don't know, bigger trailer maybe? Oh well. Okay, Mark, you want to hear the rest of my tractor story?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, this guy, okay, with a fake name, he left a comment on one of my Oliver tractor videos. And it was one where I was working on the injector pump, okay? Now, injector pumps, a lot of people believe that injector pumps should never be taken apart, like outside of what they call a very clean room. Like, people who work on injector pumps for a living, they work on them in very, very clean environments, okay? Injector pumps can be very, very sensitive to even the slightest bit of dirt. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing was, this particular injector pump on the Oliver, right, because of the type of injector pump it is, I found out by reading online that a lot of people have done what they call field repairs on these pumps, taken them apart in the field, literally worked on them on the tailgates of their pickup trucks while they were working on getting their tractors running again. Okay, so I felt confident that I could try and attempt to fix this. So I took it all apart, and I replaced a bunch of the parts in it, and I put it back together, right? And I got the tractor running, okay? So this guy, he leaves a comment on my video, and he calls the video a fail, okay? You know what a fail means, right? And he says something, I don't remember the exact comment. It was something along the lines of like a perfect example of how to ruin a precision machine, and how about how people who don't know what they're doing shouldn't attempt to repair these things. Okay? Now here's the funny part. The funny part is, apparently he didn't watch the future videos where I finished the pump assembly, put the pump back in the tractor, and get the tractor running again. Okay? Also, apparently, he didn't bother looking at the date of the video and seeing that I made that video like 2 years ago now. It's been a couple of years since I did that. Because I did that way back when I first got the tractor. So, as you know, Mark, the tractor works perfectly fine. The engine, the injector pump works perfectly fine. It may have some other issues, but, you know, the motor's tired. Pump works, though. And it's still been working perfectly fine. You know? So here's what I wanted to get your opinion on. He leaves that nasty comment on my video. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I should do about it?
You should tell him, look at the date and look at the rest of the videos.
Okay. You think I should spend some time and write a reply to him and letting him know that, pointing out to him that, oh, well, the tractor still works perfectly fine, that I obviously couldn't have messed it up too badly because it wouldn't have worked if I did, right? All right. Well, yeah, I could see that. And I thought for a minute I would do that. And then I thought, well, if I do that, though, aren't I spending my time defending myself from his accusations, which I know are wrong? His assumptions were wrong, right? And there's the other possibility that maybe he's just one of those kind of people that just likes saying mean things about people's videos. You know what they call those kind of people? Do you know what they call that?
No.
Call that a troll. Trolls.
Watch the movie.
Right. So anyways, so you know what I did? I erased his comment. You see, because it's my video, so I can erase his comments. I can even block him so he can't comment on any of my videos. So, see, by doing that, I think that's the best plan. because I'm not giving him the satisfaction of even getting a reply from me. And the other thing too is if I leave that comment up, other people who watch my video might comment. I might even have some people who think that he's mean and want to tell him that he's mean, or tell him that it's not, that he shouldn't say that or whatever. And then it might start a whole argument where they start having comments back and forth and everything. So rather than let that get all out of control or even let that happen, I just take those mean comments, the nasty ones, and I just erase them. But I don't block the person right away, because sometimes somebody says something and I give them the benefit of the doubt. So I'll erase the first nasty comment, but then when I see another one, they pop back up and do the same thing on one of my other videos or continue to post bad comments, I block them. Block them. There you go. Block. All right. That's all I wanted to say about that.